Good evening. My name is Joellen Bynum, and I'm the Grants Manager for the City of Salisbury. I'd like to welcome you all to the first public hearing for the City of Salisbury's 2024 program year for the Community Development Block Grant, or as we like to call it, the CDBG program. In the event of an emergency, we ask that everyone remain calm and exit through the double doors to the parking lot located in the front corner of this building. If the doors are locked, please exit through the doors to my right by pulling the fire alarm located to the right of the door under the monitor, and please let us know if you should need assistance. This year, our planning process includes the development of a new 5-year consolidated plan, the 2024 Action Plan, and a new analysis of impediments to fair housing choice, or AI. These are documents that all entitlement communities are required to produce according to the regulations of the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in order to be eligible for CDBG funds. With us today, we have the members of the CDBG Review Committee, which this year is comprised of city staff members. The members currently that we have in attendance are Olga Butar, Assistant Director of Finance, Muir Boda, Director of Housing and Community Development, Matthew Overt, Parks Manager, and Amanda Rodriguez, Associate Planner, and I myself am also a member of the committee. Unable to join us tonight are Andy Kidsrow, City Administrator, and Laura Soper, Director of Business Development. The City of Salisbury, Maryland is an entitlement community under the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's HUD Community Development Block Grant, CDBG program. The CDBG program provides annual grants on a formula basis to entitled cities and counties to develop viable urban communities by providing decent housing and a suitable living environment, and by expanding economic opportunities, principally for low and moderate income persons. In compliance with HUD regulations, the city must prepare a consolidated plan every 5 years to assess the low and moderate income resident needs. The City of Salisbury is preparing its 5-year consolidated plan for the period of program year 2024, which will begin July 1st, 2024, and this period will be through program year 2028, ending June 30th, 2029. Plan preparation is a collaborative process between the city, the community at large, social service agencies, housing providers, community development groups, and economic development agencies. The needs and priorities identified in the consolidated plan are addressed annually through the annual action plan, which presents what specific activities the city will accomplish with CDBG and other funding sources to primarily benefit low and moderate income residents. In conjunction with the plan, the city is preparing an analysis of impediments to fair housing choice, which identifies any impediments to fair housing choice and what steps it will take to affirmatively further fair housing. The city is conducting a resident survey to identify the low and moderate income housing and community development needs in Salisbury. Please take a few minutes to complete this confidential survey at www.surveymonkey.com. The survey may also be easily accessed via the city's website, salisbury.md. You will see a red box at the center of the home page. Click on the house icon within the box, and that will take you directly to the survey. The survey is live until Friday, February 16th, 2024. The following schedule will be utilized to complete the aforementioned plans. January 29, 2024 to February 16, 2024, we will be having consultations with stakeholders. Friday, March 1st, 2024, the draft plans will be on public display. Wednesday, March 20th, 2024, we will hold our second public hearing. Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024, the draft plans will be off display. Monday, April 15th, 2024, the draft plans will be presented to the City Council. Monday, April 22nd, 2024, the council will approve and make recommendations to the CON plan, Annual Action Plan, and AI. Monday, May 15, 2023, the final plans will be submitted to HUD. And then finally, on Monday, July 1st, 2024, the 2024 program will actually begin. Next, we will hear from the local nonprofit agencies who have applied for 2024 CDBG funding for their specific projects. The agency representatives will provide a presentation on their respective projects, following which they will then field questions from the review committee members. I would like to start by asking Ms. Molly Hilligoss of Habitat for Humanity to come forward and let us have her presentation.
Great, thank you for having me. And with me is Sherry Ewing. She is our Director of Family Services. I also have in the gallery here our Board Vice President, another our board member, Board Vice President, Don Bailey, and board member Scott Duncan. So thank you for having us. We love the opportunity to present our good works. And for the community that may not be aware of all the things that we're doing, let's get the presentation going here. Or not. I'll just keep on going. So since 1987, we've been serving the community by building homes, communities, and hope. Most of the community knows that there is a lot of poverty in Salisbury. More than half of the residents are paying more than half their income on housing, and that includes our folks that are on fixed incomes. It's no surprise that the utility bills have gone up, and insurance has gone up. Cost of repairs has skyrocketed. And in our history, we have completed over 105 critical home repairs, most of those happening since 2013, but we've completed 22 already this fiscal year, which started July 1. Comparatively speaking, so last fiscal year, we completed 17. And we have a waiting list for all the areas that we serve of over 100 families. Specifically in the city of Salisbury, now we have 18 families that have requested services. And these are families that have been referred to us by the MAC Center, by Tidal Health, nursing homes, Chesapeake Housing Mission. We have done very little advertising to promote these services. And a lot of that has to do with funding, because we can only complete the repairs with the funding that we've raised. So most people know that we've been working hard in the Church Street neighborhood for families looking to become homeowners. And that's another part of our mission. We've served 88 families with affordable homeownership. Well, it's being a little slow. So part of our critical home repair program, there we go. Part of our critical home repair program is funded by USDA, by the DHCD Community Housing, the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development with the Community Investment Tax Credit Program, and local donations, and then of course from the net sales from our Restore. We also do other things like a Brush with Kindness and aging in place modifications. There are significant positive health outcomes with the programs that we do. So between the stabilizing affordable housing, removing physical hazards for families so that they can get out of their home, so that there's no mold, fixing that leaky roof. All of these things come together and it reduces health barriers and healthcare costs. So for every family that we serve with a critical home repair, we are saving the community over $80,000 a year in potential nursing home expenses. So with our grant request, we are requesting $145,000 to serve up to 17 families. Our total budget right now is $355,000. We have already raised the difference between what we've asked through the Tomei Aging Well grant. We received a 2-year grant, and when this funding comes through, we will be in our 2nd year, so we already have secured that funding. And then yesterday, we received this amazing letter from Secretary Jake Day, awarding us another $50,000 in tax credits through the Community Investment Tax Credit Program. And these tax credits allow donors to receive 50% of their donation as a Maryland tax credit. So this is worth $100,000 to this project, which is great. So thank you, Secretary Day. So we're ready. We're ready. We have the waiting list. We have the expertise. This just shows you a little bit about some historical data in terms of our revenue. Last fiscal year, we had $4.1 million in revenue that came through our organization. Some of that was COVID rental assistance. This year, we're already pacing at $2.4 million. We just finished an audit. We passed the single audit, so we are experienced with using government funds, and we're excited to get started. What questions do you have of us?
I'll start down to my left. I don't believe Olga has any.
No, I didn't have any questions.
Yeah, I was looking at the cost estimates in your packet, and I saw that you included some previous estimates from other contractors on similar jobs. Do any of these include the mold remediation? Or is that like an additional cost you'd have to come up with the funding for?
Well, so with the critical home repairs, the first thing that we do is most of these require, well, probably 30% of them require a new roof. So that's the first step. But since this funding won't come through until probably October, November, we're very concerned about mold remediation, and that will, the delay in terms of starting these projects could absolutely, increase the cost because of mold remediation. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, just to follow that up, is that something that you have experienced in your other programs or in your other rehab projects? And is that something where if it comes along the line, that means less families are actually going to be available to be helped if they've been told they'll be receiving funds and they have to wait till the next year?
So during the scope of work, that's where we hire licensed contractors. They'll go in and they'll evaluate and see if there's, mold. We already have lead inspectors that go in, and that may make the project cost more. We really won't know until we get in there. I mean, it's no different than when a roofer goes in and takes the shingles off. They don't know at first inspection if the plywood is rotten until they take the shingles off. So what we do is with every project, we automatically build in 10% overage so that for the unknown.
And so if that money got allocated to, say, the first 3 projects needed mold remediation, if that money was allocated there and you are unable to help the last 3 families on the list, does the list continue on to the next year when funding may be available, or do they have to reapply?
Well, what we're hoping that we can do is leverage with the entire list, allocate a certain amount per family, and then allocate the other funding we have to the same project, so that way part of the project is on a forgivable loan or a forgivable grant, and then the other part would be, there might be a small repayment. So most of our, it just depends on the family. So if they happen to be a Vietnam veteran and we still have some of those funds left, that would be a deferred or forgivable grant.
Okay,
It just depends.
thank you.
Well, first, thank you for applying. I think this is, you have identified a true need that's been here for a while, and we're happy to consider these. So I don't really have any comments other than that. I don't have any questions. I think she kind of answered the one that I had, so pass it on.
Matt, did you have any?
How are you determining the order that you're gonna start with the houses? Are you starting at the, like, most critical first? Or do you have it by when they applied for it?
I'm gonna have Sherry answer that.
So the way we do this normally is it's on a first come, first served basis. There's required documents that have to be in before we can proceed. And there's been times when someone doesn't have water and we'll push them hard to get those documents in and get them served. So yes, critical goes to the top of the list, but it also depends on getting those documents in, because of course we have to have everything documented.
Did you have anything else?
Yeah.
Okay, I have a few questions. In regard to your readiness to proceed, on those 17 properties, have they already been pre-qualified income-wise?
Not necessarily. They're on our list. They're going through the process. We have 2 people that reach out to them when they put in an application and attempt to get all that paperwork in. And then we start with qualifying them for the programs.
Okay,
So as soon as they apply, they receive a list of the documents that we need. And so as fast as they get us, it's the squeaky wheel. You get your documents in, we're going to look at the file. If you refuse to bring us the documents, there's no point in us opening the file and moving forward, because we have to verify income and we have to, verify all of the other, we have to pull credit. There's costs associated. This is a loan. Even if it's a deferred loan, it's still a loan, and we have to treat everyone the same.
That's mortgage charges.
I guess my follow-up to that would be then, so if, that list of 17, if there is someone that ultimately doesn't qualify, maybe out of income range, or perhaps they don't qualify as far as their credits because bankruptcies, things like that aren't allowed, what are your processes to identify, the new clients? I know you said that you get a lot of referrals. Do you plan on actively advertising the program on some level, or?
I really don't see an issue with getting getting more, especially when the word gets out. We have over 100 on our that have called in or done an intake form, and I know we can find more. That's not going to be a problem.
I mean, if we start advertising, our phones will be ringing
Right.
off the hook.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
I
don't,
filling that
I
17
know
is
there is no lack of applicants. I'm trying to get at qualified because a lot of people apply that ultimately don't qualify. So it sounds like you're
That's true.
prepared to
Right.
move on
Well,
through.
as soon as you give us the green light that, yes, we've been approved, but then you're waiting on HUD or you're waiting on environmental or the other things, then we will start working actively trying to get everything in, so that as soon as you say, yes, you can start expending funds, that we're ready to go to settlement on those projects. So that's,
And we've done this with the Tomei grant didn't start until September, and we had 4 or 5 projects ready to roll as soon as they gave us the green
yeah.
light.
I mean, we've already expended over 300,000 since July 1 on those 22 projects.
Oh.
So getting projects to the attorney, to you or whomever for approval, and to the attorney and then started, that's not the problem. It's giving us the green light and getting us the money.
Okay. So my second question would be in regard to contractors. And I understand that you typically provide your clients with a contractor list. And so are you confident or comfortable there are sufficient contractors that are interested in quoting for these jobs? And I assume you also have lead certified contractors on your list as well.
So our contractors that we've been working with, we've developed a great relationship with, and we have a nice list now. The fact that we front the money really gives them confidence that they're going to get paid in a timely manner, and so they trust us to do that. And then
Right. The current rules that the City of Salisbury CDBG rehab program requiring 3 estimates for each job, that could be problematic. So maybe there's a way that you can amend that.
That's actually based on HUD guidance. I am working with our CDBG consultant to see if there's any sort of contingencies that can be developed, but basically it can't be a plan. That can't be the go-to that, oh, we tried and we could only get one, because we have to show that we are doing fair and competitive. So I'm going to have to put a little thought to what we could develop to try to alleviate that somewhat if you do run into a situation where there's simply no other option.
We have seen some contractors charge for the estimate
Mhm.
because it's their time to create that scope of work. It's their, they might spend a half day between, the inspection and then writing up the proposal and that to me seems fair if the requirement is still 3 estimates.
Who develops the scope of work for the projects?
so that's between our agency and the contractor, and with the homeowner's input, what they need. So if we're talking aging in place type repairs or like a walk-in shower, that's based on, so if we get a referral from Tidal Health, we'll be working with their point of contact there, seeing what they need. And it ultimately is up to, so what we do so far, unless the CDBG is different, then we go with what the homeowner's needs are and what is most critical to them, what needs to be done the most.
But we're not fixing the whole home. So
Correct.
like with our current program, the families that we're serving, we give them this is the maximum, typically around 20,000 is the maximum. And they need to pick what's the most critical. Obviously, if the roof is leaking, that's the first step. And then everything else after that.
So if there's a conflict between what they view as critical and what you view as critical,
Well,
like if somebody needs, I saw a number of them needed window replacement and a roof, and that's
Well-
quite a bit of money, to me, the roof would be first.
So we have
like-
we have a client right now that we're going through the 4th phase with him, and that is windows. He is a Vietnam veteran, so he was very lucky. He's getting some funding that we normally wouldn't have. And the windows, his last heating bill was over $700. So those windows are very important. I know it doesn't say critical, but when you're talking a $700 heating bill, that's biting into it.
Okay.
And hopefully there'll be some, more funding from the state that can be, cobbled together with this funding. I know the Secretary Day mentioned the Whole Home program, and he mentioned that with the special loan program that they're, supposed to be, adding more funds to that. I think that the maximum loan amount on that program is $25,000, and as you can see from what we submitted, some of these we're estimating over 40. So, perhaps there's ways to combine.
I feel like we've gotten really good at combining, to leveraging the funds together. We received USDA Home Preservation Grant funding, and that is a grant. So depending on ability to pay, we'll put that, maybe it's half of the project is paid with the grant, half of it is a small loan or a small payment, a loan but a small payment.
Unfortunately, that program won't work in the city limits because
Right.
USDA doesn't,
Yeah.
Right,
Rural
you know,
development.
it's not, the city's not rural, so
Yeah.
not considered rural even though.
right. But it's really taught us how to cobble that all together and get more done than we would normally have gotten done. We can do, a lot of times we can do that second project because we've got that grant.
And if we see that the homeowner has more ability to pay, it's perfect for us to do a warm handoff to Salisbury Neighborhood Housing because they have some funding for folks that have that ability, to make a $220, monthly payment. So that way we can make sure that the priority for this funding is for those that truly have a need.
And kind of, and this is my last question, I promise. Some of the grant match that you had identified, some of those grants, the Aging Well and the CFES grant and the monies you're getting from Richard Henson, are there any timeline constraints on that as far as working together with us? Like those matching funds would be available, as you said,
I mean,
we probably can't give you the go-ahead till October, November.
right,
But
that's
you'll still
why,
have
that's
those
why I
funds.
mentioned this because while we got the letter, we don't have the grant agreement yet, so we can't start raising money using this program, but once they do, that will all be applied to the next fiscal year, which falls in the same timeframe
will.
as this
It'll all
funding.
come together. Okay.
I'd be happy to give you a copy of this.
Yeah, that would be nice. Thank you. I think that's all we have.
I'm sorry,
Thank-
Dylan. I had just
Oh,
one more
sorry.
follow-up. No, you're fine. Just with the contractor list, I know that your application mentioned that you vet them before they enter into a contract with you guys, but is it vetted beforehand that they're licensed and insured? Just because we don't want homeowners paying for an estimate if it's not a contractor that they would even feasibly be able to use.
Absolutely. I mean, we checked that they're not debarred from state or federal. There's-
They have to provide all their
Just
documentation.
upfront. I just wanted to make sure like it wasn't just a
Yeah.
running list.
they
No.
check-
Check, they have
No.
current.
Exactly, their
MHIC
MHIC is
license, yeah.
licensed, is active,
And
not
they're-
debarred, and-
It's included those documents are included in every single folder through the process so that we have that documentation.
Okay, I think that's everything then. Thank you
Okay,
both very
thank you.
much. And our second application that we received this year is from Salisbury Neighborhood Housing, and we have Ms. Cheryl Meadows and Ms. Jane Hoyt here.
Good evening. Good evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us and allowing us the opportunity to present our project for CDBG funding for fiscal year '24. Wanted to give you all a little history about Salisbury Neighborhood Housing in case you weren't familiar with our organization. We were founded in 1994, so we're celebrating 30 years serving our community. We are a chartered member of NeighborWorks America, which is a congressionally chartered nonprofit, and we are one of about 240 NeighborWorks organizations across the country. Our mission is to increase homeownership and cultivate sustainable neighborhoods, and we accomplish that mission through a variety of services and programs. We are a HUD-certified counseling agency. We have pre-purchase counseling services available. We do group home buyer education programs. We do individual credit and budget counseling, foreclosure prevention, and reverse mortgage counseling. And as a HUD certified counselor, those services are all free to any member of the community. On the other side of our office, we are a lender. We provide down payment and closing cost assistance for prospective home buyers in the city of Salisbury and Wycomico County as well. And we also provide rehab loans currently out of our own revolving loan fund to existing homeowners within the city of Salisbury. And that interest rate is at 1% to make it as affordable as possible for people to make needed repairs to their homes. Salisbury Neighborhood Housing is also a local administrator of the state's special loan programs, which includes the Maryland Housing Rehab Program and the Lead Hazard Reduction Program. Those two programs do require a lien on the property for the life of the loan. It does have to be repaid when title is transferred. We have found that a lot of elderly families don't want to go that route because they don't want their families being responsible for dealing with that lien once they pass. In addition to the counseling and lending products, we are also a developer. We do acquisition rehab, which is targeted only to the city of Salisbury. We only do that activity here in Salisbury. And we also do limited new construction through a partnership with Parkside High School, where the students build a single-family house for us each year, and then we move it to one of our vacant lots. We have been offering owner-occupied rehab programs since the mid to late 90s through a variety of funding sources, including our own revolving loan fund, the CDBG program, and then the state Maryland Housing Rehab and Lead program. Our proposed program for FY24 CDBG program will be available citywide only to low and moderate income families, so 100% direct benefits to low and moderate income families. And the program is designed to help ensure safe, decent, sanitary housing. We are anticipating serving 7 households with a max grant award of $20,000 per household. So 7 households, but 17 beneficiaries based on the census average household size. The funds can be used for emergency repairs, to correct code violations, or mitigate health and safety hazards within the home. As I mentioned, the max award would be $20,000, and that's recorded as a 5-year forgivable lien. So as long as the homeowner stays there, the grant will reduce 20% each year, and then at the end of the 5th year, the lien is fully forgiven. When possible, we will leverage these CDBG funds with our own loan fund or the Maryland Housing Rehab Fund and the Lead Hazard Program. We're requesting a total of $150,000 for this project. 135 of that will go directly to the repairs to the homes. We've requested 10% for admin. And in the application, we detailed what those admin funds would be spent for, and they are the hard costs. These are the costs that we are paying now for home inspections and work write-ups, progress and final inspection reports, appraisals if needed. If we do combine CDBG funds with, say, the Maryland Housing Rehab Fund, the state often requires an appraisal. So we estimated maybe 4 of our projects would require an appraisal. If any of these admin funds are not needed, we will move them to the rehab line item so we can have additional funding for rehab funds. We also have a small piece in for recording the liens and the wire fees to transfer the funds, and then for general administration for staff time. Jane Boyd, our assistant director, manages all of our grant and loan funds. So she's going to tell you the process that we use.
We will accept, or we do accept referrals from social services, planning and zoning, Neighborhood Services, and Code Compliance, and Habitat. We currently have 7 families that are on our waiting list. Some of them have already started the process. And the process is they come in, sit down, have a conversation, bring their documents in. I go out to their home and do a walkthrough to determine what they actually need, because sometimes they'll tell you one thing, but when you get in the home, you'll see that there's a different need. Sometimes I will take pictures. At that point, they will come back and we'll sit down and talk about actually prioritizing what work needs to take place in their home. Of course, then I will request a contractor or a contractor to go out and do a work write-up. Once he does the work write-up, they'll come back and sit down with me and we'll go over that work write-up and determine first health and safety issues that need to be addressed. Of course, if a roof is needed, that is the priority, and then we'll go down the list. There are some things that will be omitted, and we would look towards this the special loan program with the state of Maryland to see if we could tailor both of the grant funds and their funding. They select their contractor. We will provide a list, but they don't have to use the contractors on the list. Should they select to use another contractor, I will then determine whether or not they have a active MHIC and also their insurance to make sure that they have that. And at that point, once the work write-up is given, then they will go out and make contact with with the contractors to get bids in. And they will have to have 3 bids. The state of Maryland is special loan program is requiring 3 bids now to come in. So we will have the 3 bids come in, go over that, and they will select which contractor that they want to use. In between the draws, at that point, we will go into contract. We'll draw up the contract and the work proceed order, and then the work will begin. In between the draws for the contract, our contractor will go out to make sure that the work is being done to code. I also go out and walk through and make sure things are being done to code as well. Answer any questions that the homeowner may have during the rehab process. Once all work is completed, then the final draw. Before that final draw is remitted for payment, our contractor will go out, and contractor that has completed the work will sign off on a work completion certificate, as well as the homeowner, to make sure that they're satisfied with the work that has been done. And that's basically the internal process that I assist our homeowners with.
I did want to make note of something that Molly mentioned, that it is difficult to get 3 bids sometimes. And the state has recently allowed us to document our efforts to get 3 contractors out. Sometimes we can't. But they have allowed us to show that we have made a good faith effort to get 3 bids. And if we can't, just have that documentation in the file. Because, you know, these low-income and elderly homeowners, they don't have $125 for somebody out to come out and give an estimate. We have in the past paid that upfront out of our own funds, you know, anticipating that the loan will actually close and then we can get reimbursed at settlement, but sometimes that doesn't happen. So I don't know. I know you were talking about HUD
Right.
maybe.
Well, as an entitlement district, we have a different set
I
of
know,
regulations
yeah.
than the state does, and the state answers to HUD, but I have to directly answer to HUD. So, as I said, we have a consultant I'm working with, trying to figure out if there's some ways we can create a space, at least, for when you are in a situation where it's just not able to be done, but it definitely can't be a situation where, as I said earlier, that's a go-to every time, oh, we couldn't get bids, we couldn't get bids. We have to show we're making a good faith effort. And since you're not since both of these are homeowners getting, the other choice is to go to competitive bidding, closed bidding, but I'm sure neither of your organizations probably wants to do that. That's a whole nother
Yes.
layer. So, to be continued on that discussion. I'm sorry, Jane, did I break in? Were you?
No, not at all.
Okay. Questions?
Yes, you mentioned that 7 households applied. Do you know if all of them financially qualify for the program? Or you don't have that in?
5 of the 7 that we sent you are income qualified because I think 3 of them we already had bids for.
Yes.
And then there are 2 that we have not verified yet, but they're both elderly households, so we are anticipating they will
Okay.
be income qualified as well.
Thank you.
If you ever run into a situation where someone is having to be displaced due to the work that's having to occur, I mean, do you ever use funds for displacement?
We have only had that happen once, and it was with a lead hazard reduction grant, and there was major lead work going on, and the state provided funding for
Relocation.
temporary place for them to stay while the lead work was being done.
Was that separate from your award?
It was separate from the award, yes. That was one of those that we combined CDBG and lead hazard money with.
I just have one question about your home inspections.
Mhm.
I know you got it marked down as 500 for 7 households. What point of the process, or because there's also see final inspections, so what point of the process is the first inspection and then the final inspection? I mean, I assume the final one's at the end.
Well, the inspection and the work write-up happens at the front end. That's
Okay.
when our contractor goes out and does the home inspection and the work write-up, and that's the cost of that
Is
whole
is that
process.
what you're including in the cost for, like, I guess, like the bid? Or like if somebody goes out and does, like if you call for 3 people to go out and do bids, are you including that cost in that?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
No, I actually didn't include a cost for a contractor that might charge. If that happens, we will pay for it up front and deal with that later.
Okay.
Did you have?
Good.
I only had a couple. Along the same lines, looking at your waiting list, which you just said that they are income qualified. Do you have any feeling if they're also qualified for your 1% loan or?
Actually, one of them was not creditworthy to access the state of Maryland's rehab program. However, he was eligible to apply for our loan, and he actually got a roof repair. However, the house has a lot of health and safety issues that I hope to use the state of Maryland's rehab program and this program to address some of the other issues within his home.
And along the same lines as what I asked Molly, if you do have any of these fall through, what are your plans? How do you go about obtaining a replacement client? Or do you pretty much have people continually applying, you don't foresee?
Yeah.
We do.
We do.
Okay.
I mean, the need is definitely there. I think, Molly provided some of the numbers. I don't think we'll have any problem spending it. And if we could both get funded, that would be awesome. I think, we can work together to, help a lot of people.
And the other piece, it's the state of Maryland's program is a very good program. However, it's a little long, the process is longer to go through than it would be if we had the funding right there to, because we're on the front end, we're able to do the pre-qualification to determine the eligibility for the program. It's just a quicker process. Not that the state's program isn't good, but it's a matter of we're the agent. I collect everything, I package everything, and then I have to send it to the state. It then gets assigned to underwriter to go through. So I make sure that our packages that we do send are very detailed so that they don't call back and say, we need this or we need that, so that that process can go through smoothly. But it is a long process. When I can get a client in, get them approved, and go through our loan process far quicker than I can through the states. So to have this funding source at this time, especially for some of the folks on our the 7 people, they've been waiting for a while to get help. And as a result, the state's program, the special loans program, was down for a period of time, which caused a backlog of, I would assume Molly experienced it as well as we did. So some of these folks are in need to get the repairs done immediately in their homes.
Was that a shortage of underwriters?
It was that,
They
and they
did.
ran out of money,
And,
and
yes.
they shut the program down for a while.
And so now we're getting calls from persons, one individual that has gotten approved for the Whole Homes program that was generated under COVID. And she has had to move out of her house because she needs a roof, and mold is growing. And she has asthma, and she also has leukemia. So I'm interceding on her behalf to try to get that through the process. She's been approved, but the paperwork is taking longer. And as a result, she's had to leave out of the house temporarily until that comes through. So that's some of the things that we're experiencing.
The only other question I had, and it's kind of implicit in it, but I'm assuming the homeowners in your program as well select, do they make the final contractor selection?
Yes.
That was all the questions, unless someone else has any more. No?
Well, thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we're now at the point in the hearing that we would like to open up the floor for comments from the public. And these comments can be anything concerning housing, community, economic development needs of the city of Salisbury, as well as any barriers to fair housing choice. So this CDBG public hearing is being televised on PAC 14, so if you would like to come forward, if you have comments to make and take the podium, we are open to hear what you have to say and welcome it.
I have more to say. And I just would rather stand. So last week I met with our newest mayor, and I was talking to him about the issues that we have with trying to serve, the waiting list. And I suggested that he come up with a plan to make sure that low-income homeowners have a roof, a safe roof. And I suggested that maybe it'd be, that he, could commit $500,000 over 2 years to start making sure that every Salisburian has a safe roof. Let's start there. That would really help us to be able to leverage the CDBG funds even more. And so I just wanted to let you know that I'm advocating for that. Wherever you want to invite me, we can start talking more about this. And we are already starting the process of getting some public input for some other programs that we're doing, including there's going to be the new Uplift program through the state of Maryland. So as part of that, we will be gathering input, and I'm going to be asking the public about their housing rehab needs so that we can develop an even longer list because we know the people are out there. They just don't know that, you know, they may not be aware of our services, they may not be aware of Salisbury Neighborhood Housing Services, and I think that this is a duty of the city to take care of its people.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hi.
My
You
name
just
is-
let us know.
My name is Oak Harden. I am a newly appointed board member for Habitat. My question to the committee is it anywhere possible that, since we don't know what your max budget is for FY '24, and since only 2 organizations are present here, so obviously they will take the priority in their getting their funding. Is it anywhere possible that the committee can have a 10% window just in case of cost overrun for any type of repairs? So I'm looking at Molly's numbers, and she's looking at about 17 families, and she's applied for $145,000. So it gives us about $9,200 or so per family or, you know, household. We don't know what the roof will cost. We don't know what the repairs will cost. So is it possible they could then, or you have the ability to increase, let's say 10% window in case the cost overrun?
What we have to do is present a budget to HUD for the 2024 plan year that we're trying to come up with. So it will be allocated, and if we receive the same amount as last year, you're looking at around 300,000 that is going to be available. So we won't really have that ability, but we will be getting funded again next year. And if these are successful, you know, there's the possibility we could just keep rolling through if the city would agree to that, you know.
Thank you for your answer. I'm new to it, and just,
Right.
I was
It's a
just
good
curious
question.
as to,
Yeah.
in the event there's ever a cost overrun, do they then, you know, reduce families who are in need, even though they have planned for 17? You know, one house might take,
You might not get 17 if, yeah.
so
Yeah.
the goal doesn't, they don't necessarily.
You're
meet
not
their goal.
necessarily held to
Okay.
that. That is what I will turn into HUD as what we hope to accomplish. But they understand that, you know, we're talking about real people, real situations, and it might not end up at those exact numbers. But, you know, it's a great goal that Habitat has put forward. And so, yeah, in the end, it is going to end up being what it is. The cost might, as you very clearly stated, end up being more.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, our fiscal year starts July 1st. So what the money we're talking about now is going to be for fiscal year, what we would call 25. So this money wouldn't be awarded until summer, late summer, early fall, which then we're already into the next fiscal year.
It's a little confusing
It
too,
is
because it's the city's fiscal year 2025, but it's HUD's program year 2024. So I'm talking about 2024,
Okay.
which is the city's fiscal year 2025. So,
Yeah,
But,
the
yours
current
is
budget,
correct.
the
It
current budget's
is.
already,
Oh.
we're halfway through it. So we're, you know, the federal government budget's line or timeframe is a little bit different than ours. Because we also operate on the state's budget timeline, which is July 1st is when the state's budget starts. The only difference in the city is your water and sewer stuff, which is actually October 1st. So anytime we raise water sewer rates or whatever, that doesn't start July 1st, that starts October 1st. So
Okay, thank you.
one more thing to throw in the mix, make it clear.
yeah, thanks for that. Anybody else? Okay. Well, we appreciate all the input and the healthy discussion we've had. If anybody listening or in the room has any questions concerning the CDBG planning process, you may contact me at the City of Salisbury's Finance Office. My number is 410-548-3110, or I can be contacted via email at jbynum@salisbury.md. And with that, we will conclude today's public hearing, and thank everybody for coming, and we are officially adjourned.